Hey, Mishka, this new Killcliff Grape CBD is called The GOAT. Here's the bomb.com, baby. Y'all just blew up my drink hole. Woohoo! Once you get that goat up in ya, ooh, that's when the magic happens. Man, that escalated quickly. Real science plus killer taste equals Killcliff CBD.
Good afternoon, fellow fantasy sports fans. My name is Casey Scheinvold, and this is MFSN The Hub's inaugural NBA waiver wire show for the 2021-2022 NBA season. I am here to present some waiver wire picks with the prophet himself, my good friend Ross the Boss.
Hey, everybody, I'm Ross the Boss, and I want to talk NBA waiver wire with you, cowboy. God, I'm excited. It's NBA season and hockey season and football season, and name some other sport, Casey.
Well, it's the World Series this week, so you
World
can say
Series.
baseball's going on.
Yes, we got a lot of sports going on, but you know what? Everybody's excited about the NBA, and if you failed during your draft the past couple weeks, we're here to help you to make your team better, and hopefully you can win your league because of me and Casey. So please keep watching.
All right, well, this is the first waiver wire show we're going to do on the NBA this season. The season is about 10 days old, I believe. And so I'm going to spend a lot of time today picking your brain, Ross, because I know you're much better at fantasy basketball than I have. You probably have forgotten more than I know about fantasy basketball. So for those of us watching the show who might be a little new, I'm going to ask you some general questions mixed in with us giving you some picks for the week. But before we get there, we want to let you know that MFSN's waiver wire show is proudly brought to you by Killcliff CBD, the best tasting CBD drink in the world. We have Orange Kush, we have Mango Tango, there's Strawberry Days, there's the grapest of all time, and then there's Joe Rogan's spicy pineapple called the Flaming Joe. It's founded by a Navy SEAL. For those of us who aren't Navy SEALs, it's the biggest no-brainer in the history of drinks. Go to killcliff.com to get your own. So Ross, we're 10 days into the season, and one of the things I always struggle with early in the season is patience with dropping certain players and adding certain players. So when you're looking at the waiver wire this early, because there are people who we may not have been aware of in the preseason or in the draft who are off to hot starts, and we may have some established players who are off to really cold starts. So when you're looking at the waiver wire the first week of the season, what are the things you're looking for, and how do you manage your roster?
So first thing you look for is like people that panic. There's panic people and that are not built for, like, if their player's not playing well and they drafted them with high expectations and not playing well, they'll drop them for a player that's doing really well. Like, you know, I'll give you some examples later, but I mean, there's a lot of players that have hot starts and they fizzle away. It's a long season, folks. You can't be impatient when it comes to your players. You got to be patient. You got to sit with some of your players for at least a few weeks. I mean, after a week and you look at your player and he's not producing, please don't drop them. Or if you do, make sure you're in my league because I want to pick them up, if that makes sense, because I love when people make dumb mistakes. But again, you get to have a sense of like who's in the rotation, who's getting playing time, who's not getting playing time, who wants to be traded, who doesn't want to be traded because they're getting a lot of playing. So there's a lot of things that go on the first couple of weeks that you got to pay attention of. But the one thing you can't do is you can't panic on your stars because they will end up producing at the end. Don't worry.
So your mantra is patience early in the season. With
patience.
Okay, that's great. So let me give you a hypothetical. Obviously, somebody like De'Aaron Fox was really hyped in the preseason. We all know he's probably a top 10 point guard in the league at this point, but he is struggled terribly coming out of the gates. I think he's on average, he's 300 ranking on Yahoo, but yet he's still 99% owned. So with somebody like De'Aaron Fox, are you saying put him on your bench until he starts figuring it out? Don't ever consider dropping him.
No, University of Kentucky product, De'Aaron Fox, you never consider dropping him. I had him last year and he was money. I didn't have him this year. I haven't looked at his numbers. I mean, if you can pop him up real quick, I'd love to hear what he's doing. I can't believe.
I actually have his numbers. So he's averaging 35 minutes a game.
Okay.
He's only shooting 37% from the field, which is
not
obviously
so good.
not
Okay.
good. With only one 3-pointer made, he's shooting 55% from the free throw line.
Oof.
18 and a half points, almost 4 rebounds, 7 assists, but 4.5 turnovers a game and 1.5 steals.
Okay, so he's averaging 18.77 assists. It's not like a disaster to start, but it's not that great. He'll pick it up. De'Aaron Fox is somebody you don't have to worry about. I mean, I might go out and try to trade for him now. I mean, after what you're telling me, I mean, it sounds like the owners are probably upset because he's not producing what he should be doing. But that's when you can go out and trade early. I mean, some of these people, I've been getting offers for like crazy offers. I mean, just people think I'm like down on certain players like James Harden, who started off a little slow. I'm not trading James Harden for a scrub. I mean, are you insane? I mean, it's a waiting game. De'Aaron Fox is a good example. He'll be a top 5 guard when the season's over. Don't worry.
So since we're talking about guards, why don't we name a couple? Give me your top 2 or 3 to pick up this week.
So I have a few. I mean, because it's so early and there's so many good value guards that are available that are under 60% in Yahoo. That's how we judge this. It's under 60% in Yahoo. Those are the players that we feel that could be available in your league. So Seth Curry for the Sixers. I love this guy. He's getting the ball a lot because Ben Simmons. I don't think Ben Simmons is ever going to play a game for the Sixers. That's my prediction. Yeah. I mean, Seth Curry. Case, you know what he's hitting? You know what his percentages for 3-pointers in the season is?
Enlighten me.
It's 76%. Oh. I mean, he's
not bad.
In the last 3 games, he posted 23 points in each game. He's tearing it up. If Ben Simmons just keeps not playing, which I don't think he'll play. I think he'll be traded. But Seth Curry is a great pickup. I love Gary Trent Jr. for Toronto.
I have him on my list. Yep.
This is the whole secret about him. 2.7 steals a game. 2.7. That's a lot. And
well, he's had 2 5-steal games, I think, so far this season.
His defense is unbelievable, but he's also shooting the ball a lot. I mean, he's taken 27 shots in the past 68 minutes this season. That's a lot. So let him keep hooping it up. I mean, you know, Gary Trent Jr. keep hooping it, playing defense. He plays for your Toronto Raptors. That's a guy that you want on your team. It's a good pickup right now. Another guy I'll mention, I know Dr. Jan Ratner were like this. It's going to be a Cleveland Cav is Ricky Rubio. And you're saying, Ross, this guy's been in the league for 20 years. It feels like 20 years. I mean, I remember when he was this hot shot guy from Spain and everybody was talking about him. And he never really produced what they thought he would be, but he's still good. And every night he has a double-double. It's assists and points. I mean, if you need an assist guy, this is the guy you want is Ricky Rubio. He is playing. He's getting playing time, and he's shooting the ball great, and he's playing great. He's playing great for the Cavs beat the Clippers last night. I saw that game. I mean,
you're a Clippers fan, so that
I know I am. I'm not too happy. Another guy that I love too that he plays for Memphis and he sounds like a superhero. Desmond Bain. Get me Bain on the phone. You would see those superhero movies with.
Well, Bain was the bad guy in Batman.
So. Batman Bain. So Desmond Bain, guard for he's a second-year guy, I believe, for Memphis. He's averaging 22 points a game with like 3 assists, 3 rebounds a game. I mean, he's been tearing it up.
Speaking of rookies, have you heard of Chris Duarte in Indianapolis?
I have him on my list. Chris Duarte is the oldest rookie drafted this season, 24 years old, and he's playing lights out in Indiana. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen when LeVert comes back. I'm not quite sure how the rotation is going to be happening. But LeVert's very close to coming back. I mean, he's like a week away. I mean, he's practicing. He's like questionable now in games. So I don't know, but Duarte has been unbelievable. Duarte is. I mean, he's
playing 36 minutes a game. So I'm assuming they're going to keep finding spots for him when he's hitting an average of 3 3-pointers per game. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah. I mean, he's on my list to pick up as a guard too. Tyrone Maxey for the Sixers. I have also. He's been the last.
I believe it's Tyrese, isn't it?
Tyrese Maxey. He's another guy that's benefiting a lot because Ben Simmons is not playing for the Sixers. His first game for the Sixers, 20 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Not too bad.
No.
I feel that he's going to actually stay and be in the rotation when Simmons comes back also. So Maxey for me is a great pickup right now.
You know, somebody who I didn't realize was doing this well, but when I was going through the numbers was Alex Caruso in Chicago. He's playing 28 minutes a game, shooting 50% from the floor, almost 89% from the line, and stealing 3.3 on average per game.
I like it's just playing time with Caruso. The Bulls are for the first time since the Michael Jordan era. It's like they're 4-0.
Yeah,
I mean,
but if he can get 28 minutes a game,
if he can, actually,
that's a really good question for you. As somebody who's not very experienced in fantasy basketball, when you're looking at the amount of time played, what is kind of the threshold you're looking for to make somebody relevant? You know, is there a minutes per game? You want them to
play at least 25 minutes a game.
Okay.
25 minutes is like the number that you want your players to play.
So essentially at least half the game, because aren't games 48 minutes? Isn't
yes,
it? 3 12-minute
So you want them to be out there at least half the game. And, especially this time of the season, because this is when the rotations get figured out, when the coach figures out who gets more playing time, who gets less playing time. But, as you mentioned, playing time's a big part of this whole fantasy. You got to pay attention to time on the court. We call it TIC. Time on the court.
Okay. Now, what would you do with somebody like, I had the name here, like somebody like Grayson Allen, who we seem to talk about last year during the waiver wire. He's never really owned, but he's always right on the fringe of being relevant. He qualifies at both guard and forward, but he's hitting 3 threes a game. He's playing 29 minutes again, right over the threshold. Is that somebody you would look at?
I like Grayson. I liked him last year. With him, it's just playing time. I wish I know he doesn't start. He comes in like in the middle of the first quarter. He's somebody, if you need like a guy that's shooting 3-pointers and a guy he's actually a good rebounder too. He's a good pickup, but he's not really on the top of my list. I feel he's more of a head case. I feel when people talk trash to him, I feel he gets in his head and he doesn't play that great, and you can watch him.
Yeah,
you can watch him play.
It was pretty notorious what would happen to him at Duke when he would get beat off the dribble or something. You would see the invariable kick to the groin.
But
I feel in trouble for.
I feel this year could be like a breakout year for him. I just always feel it's going to be a breakout year for him. And then every year it's like he never hits that plateau, So I'm rooting for the guy. I like Grayson Allen. I always enjoyed him at Duke. And in the pros, he's always been up and down and mediocre. So maybe he'll be better this year. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask for your advice on somebody on my actual roster. I have Kevin Porter Jr. for the Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
If you remember last year, he played for spurts where he was almost unstoppable. It felt like with some of the numbers he was putting up. This year, he's averaging 6.5 turnovers per game, which is just.
I figured he'll be good. I figured, he's on the court a lot. How many minutes is he playing, Casey?
He's playing an average of 32 minutes per game.
Yeah, he's the main scorer, one of the scorers for Houston.
Yeah, he and Christian Wood seem to be the two.
Christian Wood is, as we said, if he's healthy, he's a great pickup in fantasy. You're not going to get him unless you trade for him. But Kevin, Porter for me, it's like a good second guy on a bad team. He'll play a lot. He's not, you'll see him make, trash time. He'll get a lot of points, but Houston is such a horrible team this year.
Yeah.
But again, as long as he gets the playing time, he'll get you points. He's a pretty good rebounder too. And he doesn't mind passing the ball either. So with Porter,
I just worry about the turnovers because they're kind of
he's going to get the turnovers. They're
6.3 per game is pretty rough when you're playing.
Yeah, when a young team like that, when you have a young nucleus around like Wood and all those guys are going to make mistakes. They're not going to be in the place where they're supposed to be. It's going to be turnovers. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a mess with turnovers. But a lot of leagues, KC, turnovers don't matter. So a lot of these fantasy leagues, you don't have to worry about like having a turnover. It doesn't mean anything. There's no stat in like I want to say like at least half the leagues that I'm in, there's no turnover category.
Oh, interesting. I think our league has one, doesn't it?
Yes. Well, our league does. Again,
that's just Dan wanting to take advantage of something and making my life miserable.
Yeah, of course.
But since he's not here to defend himself, we can blame him for it.
We'll blame him on everything, as you know.
Absolutely.
But the NBA season, so with guards, there's a lot. Guards is the most in waiver wire right now. Guards is the easiest position to fill up. There's a lot of guard play going on. And you can, if you're not happy with one of your guards and they're not getting playing time, there's a lot of guys you can pick up right now. That will help you.
So name
another guy that you like last year is TJ McConnell.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of him.
I mean, TJ McConnell, he's definitely a top 20 point guard. I mean, if you need a point guard and you have doubts about a certain guard on your team, TJ McConnell is always a good pickup. I mean, I know his points are not that great, but he's averaging 5, close to 6 assists a game. I mean, that's not bad. And assists category means just as much as points per game category. So, and he also, remember that triple-double he had last year? Remember 10
steals
10
or 11
assists,
steals,
10
wasn't
it? I mean, he had an unbelievable line. I never seen that before with the 10 steals. So if TJ McConnell, if he's available in your league and you need a guard, it's not a bad pickup.
You know, how do you feel about Derrick Rose, kind of the old guy there in the Knicks now? He's only playing 24 minutes a game, but he's shooting 48%, 86 from the line, hitting almost 3 threes per game. He's not crushing it anywhere, but he's steady. And Casey, if he did not get hurt, I mean, he would have been like one of the best guys in the league if his health stayed well. Yeah. I mean, he's the guy the same time as LeBron, and those two were battling for MVP.
I mean, I love Derrick Rose. I think with the Knicks, it's a perfect fit. The Knicks only have 1 loss this year. I mean, they're playing upset. I mean, they're playing great. I mean, they're one of the best teams in the East right now. Derrick Rose, 20. I mean, I like Derrick Rose. If you're in a deep league and he's available, pick him up. It's a good pickup. He's going to average you at least 15, 16 points a game. He'll have assists. He'll have some rebounds. But Derrick Rose is a guy that on a good Knick team, that's one of the guys I would like to have on my team if you need him.
Any other guards you can think of before we move on to
I gave a lot of guards. I went through my whole list. I
have some that qualify both guard and forward, but I'll list them under the forward list.
Yeah, so, I have a bunch of those too come up when we go to forwards.
All right. So I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Okay. We talked a little bit about De'Aaron Fox being a star who's struggling. Some other stars who are struggling. Kristaps Porzingis, of course, he's always hurt, but he's struggling. Kyle Lowry, Bradley Beal. I even think Dame Lillard is struggling to start the season. Are those guys you would go out there to target and trade for? I think James Harden is struggling a little bit.
Porzingis, no. I just feel injury. He's a guy that injuries just took his career away. He's not the same player 2 years ago. I would stay away from him, but Lillard, I would go after him in a second. Harden didn't start off that great either. There's another guy I'm kind of targeting right now. All these guys you mentioned are having slow starts. Even Trae Young, his start's not that great either. But I mean, all these guys, again, it's the first 2 weeks of the season. Don't panic. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But I mean, players do start slow. They don't all start quick out of the box like Durant does, or the Greek Freak, or people like that are hitting, that are like shooting lights out right now. I mean, look at LeBron. I mean, I have LeBron in our league, and he's missed he's missed the last 2 games because of injury.
He rolled his ankle again, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I feel it's going to be an off and on thing with him during the season, that he's going to take off certain games and let Westbrook be the star and let Westbrook be the main scorer, just because he wants to be ready for the playoffs. That's my theory. I could be wrong, but again, LeBron's a guy that's very competitive. He wants to be out there. I mean, think about it. I mean, he's going to be the all-time scoring leader when he's retired. I mean, he's not a guy that can sit down and watch the game wearing his Gucci clothes. You know what I mean? So,
right.
So I mean, there are guys that are injury prone. Another, I guess he's a shooting guard too. Another guy that I have him forward too, but I'll just say Kawhi Leonard here in LA. There is no timetable. They don't know when this guy's coming back.
Yeah, they're not sure when he's coming back.
And he's under 60%. So if you have room in your IR spot to pick up Kawhi, just put him in the IR spot. It's a great. He'll be back. I don't know when. I know Klay Thompson, who I have. I know he'll be back in Christmas time. That's the projection. Kawhi, they're not even giving a timeline. So if you have room, pick him up. It might as well. I mean, when the guy comes back, he'll be averaging 25 points a game, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists. I mean, pick him up.
Yeah. Now there's some other injured stars. You got Jamal Murray.
Jamal Murray's almost. We'll get to him. I mean, Jamal Murray. and we'll go.
They're
to
saying
forwards
after
now.
the All-Star break for him.
After the All-Star break, but you know who's benefiting from him is Will Burton. I mean, Will Burton is getting a lot of playing time now, and he's scoring like he's 20 points a game. I mean, he's doing great, and he classifies as a shooting guard / small forward, and he plays for Denver. And he's somebody, if you need a forward, especially for the next 3 months without Murray there, Will Burton's getting all his playing time and getting all his shots. So pick up Will Burton immediately.
All right, there's another player to add. All right, give me some of your forwards.
So Will Burton, I just said the big pickup, and he was hurt last year a lot. And I liked him last year. He's another guy, another Duke product. All these Duke guys, it's unbelievable. And he was actually a first round guy. Cam Reddish. He plays for Atlanta. He's averaging like 18 points a game, 6 rebounds. He's hitting 66% for threes. I mean, that's unbelievable. He's 19.5 points a game. But Cam Reddish, he's getting a lot of playing time. He's looking great. He's looking like the player they drafted, and he's completely healthy. And he's my number one pickup right now in fantasy basketball. If you can pick him up, he's under 60%. Get him now because he could be an all-star. A projection, he could be an all-star this year.
Wow.
He's the boss.
You heard it first. That's why we call him the prophet. He tends to know
I mean,
these
Cam
things.
Reddish is that good. I mean, and then I love this guy's name, Franz Wagner.
I have
correct?
him on my list too. I'm
People
a big
say
fan.
Wagner, but it's German, so it's Wagner, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Franz, 12 points, almost 13 points a game, 5 rebounds. He's hitting threes. He's hitting like he's hitting like 36% for three. He's hitting 3 threes a game like it's nothing right now. I mean, this guy's shooting great for Orlando. I mean, Franz is a rookie. He's somebody that you should try to pick up. I mean, he's just going to get better and bigger and better when the season goes through. He's the real deal, guys. He's the real deal. He'll be on all the rookie teams, first team. He's getting a lot of playing time in Orlando because, you know, they don't have the greatest talent down there. But Franz, I love Franz. I love his name. Hans and Franz.
So I'm going to name 2 Clippers that you're going to then talk about.
Go.
Terrence Mann.
Love him.
He's averaging 29 minutes a game, scoring 8.5, 6 boards, 3.5 assists, 1.5 steals. That's a pretty good, well-rounded stat line.
It's okay. I mean,
per
he's
night.
going to do better. He's getting better every game. He's getting better. I was at the playoff game, Casey, where he had 30 points. I mean, he was like the star of the game. I mean, he was like 30 points, 10 rebounds. He was unbelievable, and he's the guy that's taking Kawhi's spot right now. He's
only 31% owned. So
he's playing. Yeah, I mean, Terrence Mann is on my list to pick up. I love him. University of Florida kid. He can play. I mean,
and for those of you who love the movie
Florida
Field
State.
of Dreams, there you go. You can own a piece of the Field of Dreams because, as everybody knows, Terrence Mann was James Earl Jones's character, the author in Field of Dreams.
Oh, you're right. That's a good little piece of trivia. But Terrence Mann, to me, as you know, I'm a big Clipper fan. But as long as Kawhi's not playing, Terrence Mann's going to get a lot of playing time. So if you need a forward, he's just a small forward, right? He's not a guard.
He is just at small forward, but they do have somebody who qualifies at both shooting guard and small forward, and that's Luke Kennard, who's hitting 3 threes a game, 2.5 boards, 2.5 assists, 12 points. You know, he's not putting up stellar numbers, but
no,
he's getting some playing time, 29 minutes a game there too.
He's getting playing time. And Morris, their other guy, he's another forward that plays for the Clippers. He's hurt. He's out. For a little bit. So Kennard's going to get a lot more playing time. And last year, I love Kennard last year. They never gave him much playing time. This year, like you said, he's getting a lot more playing time. He's a sniper. He's a guy that can shoot from anywhere, has no conscience. He'll keep throwing the ball up, and he can rebound. And when he's out there, it's like a little bolt of energy for the Clippers. I like Kennard a lot. It's just about playing time.
Yeah.
And as long as Morris, he could be a streaker. As long as Morris is still out, I like Kennard a lot, and I'll put him down as a streaker just because I feel that his playing time will go down when Morris comes back.
Yeah, and while all the publicity in Charlotte goes to Miles Bridges, who's playing out of his mind.
Out. Yeah, he's 32 points the other night, Casey, and he was unbelievable. I mean,
and LaMelo Ball, who's quickly climbing the ranks, is one of the most dynamic guards in the NBA. If he's not already in that top 5.
Assists, rebounds, points.
He does it all. But they have this kid, Cody Martin, who qualifies at both guard and forward. So you can use him in your shooting guard spot, your small forward spot, your guard spot, or your forward spot. So he gets you 4 spots. He's only playing 25 minutes a game, but it's 9.5 points, 4.5 boards, 2.5 assists, 1.5 steals. Like on a minute per minute basis, this guy is killing it.
Yeah, I mean, that's somebody I had him on my list too. That's somebody you want to pick up because the coach going to, if Ross the boss and Casey Scheinfeld recognize that this guy's tearing it up, I'm sure the coach of Charlotte can figure. I'm sure Mitch Kupchak, who's the GM of Charlotte, can figure it out that this guy should get more playing time. So yes. Pick him up if you have room on your roster. Don't drop one of your stars, folks. Don't be stupid. But if you have room, you can stash him somewhere. He'll get more playing time. The coach knows that this guy's ready to play. And if Charlotte is going to start losing some games and out of the playoff contention, they're going to play all their young players. So this is a great guy to have on your team during your playoff run, in February and March.
Yeah. And as much as I am not going to play him or pick him up, I'd be remiss to not mention Carmelo Anthony right now. He's not playing a tremendous amount of minutes, only 28. Obviously, he's on the tail end of his career. He's never going to give you the defensive stats. Steals and blocks are never going to be his thing. But he's a pure scorer, and he's putting almost 3 threes per game, 14 points and 4 boards. So he qualifies at both forward spots. So it's somebody else who, on a minute-by-minute basis, is doing pretty good. And
so with Carmelo, you're right about Carmelo is the reason he's on the Lakers is because of LeBron James. They were drafted in the same year.
Yeah,
and LeBron and him always been close. I mean, I know Carmelo went 1 year to Syracuse, and of course LeBron did not go to college and didn't really need to. But I mean, for Carmelo, I think for LeBron when Carmelo and LeBron play with each other, if you watch them play, LeBron's always feeding him the ball. LeBron rather have him score than himself for some reason. He's giving him the ball all the time. He loves Carmelo. So Carmelo, to me, if you need points and maybe a few rebounds, he's a great guy, like you said, but he's not going to get you assists. He's not going to get you steals. He's not going to do block shots. He's not going to, those categories are going to be very minimal.
He's not going to hurt you offensively. He's going to shoot for a good percentage from the free throw and from the field goal line. He's going to get you a few 3-pointers a game. He's going to get you decent points. So it's somebody who can help you there, but he's never going to be a regular in your starting lineup.
No, not at all. I mean, I stay away from him just because it's basically he only helps you with 1 or 2 categories. So those type of guys I don't really need. I'm worried about assists and rebounds and steals. Those are the categories I can help with.
Now, one of the things we used to always have fun with Ross during the baseball waiver wire was when people would put either junior or senior after their name, because as Ross would always be quick to point out, it's not like they're both playing. Why do you need your junior or senior? Yeah. But what do you think of Lonnie Walker the fourth?
Lonnie Walker the second was, I want to talk about him first.
All right, let's talk about him. Lonnie
Walker the second, when he played back in the 60s with the Boston Celtics, I'm just making this up. When players do this, I think they're just, they're giving a toast to their family. I get it. It's not like people are going to mix up the third and the second. I think it's just a statement they're making. It's fine. It makes me laugh, but again, I hope the announcers don't say Lonnie Walker the fourth. I hope they just call him Lonnie Walker. It makes sense. But yes, unless your dad and you are playing at the same time, like Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. were doing back in the Seattle days, then yes, you can call Ken Griffey Jr. Yes, you can do that. But if your dad's not playing with you and there's no senior on your team, no. You don't get there's no junior anymore. There's no reason to have that title.
Okay, but what if your dad is a Hall of Famer, like Vladimir Guerrero?
Yeah.
Right? I think you kind of have to say
no, his dad hasn't played baseball in 20 years.
It doesn't matter. Everybody associates Vladimir Guerrero with his dad.
Would you want to be going around be called junior? No, you want to be called. You want to be your own individual.
Look,
I would change
if I was
name.
as good as Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at baseball and was going to get paid as much as he's going to get paid in his career, you can call me whatever the heck you want.
I know, but come on, guys. The junior and senior thing is just. I see it too much. It's
all right.
I think every team has a guy with the junior in back of his jersey. Every team has one guy. It
all
makes
right.
no sense.
You know who's somebody we've talked about a lot, and I think he's on the list again, and we got to consider him is average Joe Ingles in Utah.
Australian, Joe Ingles. Every year no one drafts him. I mean, in fantasy drafts, he's kind of invisible. I mean, and then during the season, he's like one of the big pickups. This guy, great shooter, good with steals, can rebound, does everything.
Doesn't turn it over.
He's from Australia. He has the accent. He kind of has like a flat head too, if you look at him. But I mean, he's a really, really
makes him aerodynamic
shooter. I mean, Utah. The coach of Utah loves this guy, and he's a great competitor, and he's a great guy to come off your bench. I like him a lot. If he's available in your league, and he'll help you with every category. He's a guy that's going to play 30, 35 minutes a game. And yes, you should pick him up if you need help in small forward. Is he a small forward and guard, or is he
shooting guard, small forward? So he qualifies in both spots.
He's a good utility guy for your team, folks. So Joe Ingles, we call him Average Joe, because he's not going to be a superstar, but he's not going to hurt your team. So there you go.
All right. So do you have any centers? I only have one.
I have a few centers. I did the list a couple of days ago. They could have went over 60%, but I'll just name some of them. Steve Adams. This guy has been double all year.
Oklahoma City, right?
No, he plays for Memphis now.
Memphis. I'm sorry.
He's from Memphis. He has the beard. He's another Australian. This Australian themed show today. Steve Adams, to me, if you need a center, I mean, he's like the last game he had like 14 rebounds. I mean, he's been just tearing it up with rebounds. He gets points. He'll play 25 to 30 minutes a game. He's not going to hurt you at all. He gets blocks. Steve Adams, he's like, last time I checked, he was under 50%. So if your center's not playing, it's a good pickup. Casey, I have a few more, but I want you to say who you have. The
only one I have, and I have it more as an ode to Dr. Dan, since he's not here today. He's only playing 16 minutes a game, but Hassan Whiteside is actually putting up decent numbers with his time. I know we kind of railed on Dan all last year because he ranked him as a very underrated player that you should pick up, and he was just terrible. I don't think he was even playing any minutes.
The coach benched him.
But he's in Utah now, so he's backing up what's his name? Gobert. And he's averaging 8 points, 8 boards, and getting over a block a game with only 16 minutes of playing time.
That's a great example there. I have him on my list too, because he's a power forward center, and he's somebody that is going to get more playing time. The coach is going to be forced to have Gobert and him.
I think you have to.
Gobert and him are going to have to play at the same time. I mean, this guy, when he was in Miami a few years ago, he was an all-star. I mean, he was averaging over 20 points a game, over 10 rebounds a game. He had two blocks a game. I mean, this guy was unbelievable. Then all of a sudden he went to Portland, and that was a disaster. Then he went to Sacramento. That was a disaster. And now he's at Utah. And I think he's more humble. He's in the middle of nowhere in Utah. He wants to be in Utah. But I mean, in all seriousness,
there's not as much temptation to get out of trouble.
He is back. I mean, let the guy have more playing time. And if you could stash Hassan Whiteside, yes, it's a great idea to do. I think he's close 6'11", I think, or 7. He's 6'11", 7 feet tall.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
I met him once, and he's very tall. But I think these stats. I mean, think about it. This thing, if they double his time, right? So he's 60. Let's say he plays 30 minutes a game, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, he would have 16 points a game, 14 rebounds, and like 2 blocks.
Yeah.
I mean,
foul trouble has always been an issue for him in the past, so he'd have to stay out of foul trouble. But
I mean, I think it's a good trade bait too. So we'll see what happens.
Trade bait, and what you said earlier is really important. He's a good guy to own now because you can probably get him off the waiver wire now. He's only 35% owned, and his value might double by this time in November.
I agree. I mean, again, folks, this is the first waiver wire. This is where you got to take stands on people and at least have.
You're going to take some chances. Let's be honest. The bottom of your roster is fluid, right? Your top 10 or 11 guys, maybe top 12 guys, depending on how long your bench is in your league settings. Those are established guys who you're not going to move around that much. But those bottom 3 or 4 guys are ones you constantly have to be trying to improve.
You got to look at your team. I look at my team every day and see, how can I make my team better? What's going on in the NBA? What did I see last night that I saw in a certain player that I want on my team? That's what I do, KC Scheinfold, and it works.
So you take a guy like Hassan Whiteside, put him at the bottom of your roster. You can put him in the starting lineup on those days where your centers and power forwards have nights off. and get some numbers from him. But then if he starts getting another 10 minutes a game, you're talking about a double-double with multiple blocks per game, which is crazy valuable. So
and plus guys like Dr. Dan Ratner, they're going to want him on his team because he talked so well about him last year. Then he could start trading with him, and he'll give you like a lot of value for him because he has.
He'll give you whoever he picked up off the waiver wire for
him. Couple more.
Again,
they could be over 60% now. I'm not quite sure. I know. Mo Bamba he probably is over 60%.
He is now because I love Mo Bamba.
Okay, I know you love him, but he's under 70%. He just had to go over 60% this week.
He did.
I mean, he's averaging 16 points a game, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks. I mean, this guy's getting all the playing time.
It's interesting because they just signed Wendell Carter Jr. to an extension or
another
a new contract.
Junior. Yeah,
and he's not performing nearly as well as Mo Bamba.
No, they're giving Mo Bamba, who I love his name, second year guy. I mean, he's getting all the playing time. Look at him. I mean, he's a guy that, you know what, you should try to trade for him too. I mean, he's a guy that's going to get better and better. He's probably not again. This is last week. I know he was under 60% because I picked him up in a few leagues, but again, it's a guy that you could probably just check and make sure he's not available just to make sure.
Yep, I agree.
And then another guy, again, Clipper report by Ross the Boss, Serge Ibaka is very close to coming back for the Clippers. He's under 60%. I just checked. And when he comes back, he's going to be playing a lot of playing time. They need a lot of help with the big men in for the Clippers. So I'm excited for Serge to come back. He hasn't played since last season. He had surgery last season, and it ruined the Clippers' playoff chances, I thought. And Serge is coming back. He'll be back hopefully the next couple of weeks. I suggest you pick him up. He's going to be huge for the Clippers. You heard it from me first, Ross the Boss. He's going to have a great year this year. He's going to be big numbers, especially with Kawhi out. Trust me.
Yeah, once he's back, they're going to need him just for minutes. I mean, he's not as athletic as he was 5, 6, 7 years ago, but he can still. I mean, he's one of those smart and heady players who's just going to kind of like Al Horford. Like he doesn't need the athleticism because he just knows how to play basketball.
Al Horford's been playing great for Boston.
Exactly,
too.
But that's what I mean. But if
he became a star and he's playing great. I mean, he looks terrific. I would never pick him up because I'm on last year and he ruined my team. But for anybody else that likes Al Horford, go ahead. But I feel that I feel that the Celtics will be competitive. And Al will get the rebounds, and he'll have a good season.
All right. So we have a few minutes left, and we've spent the last 40 minutes talking about basketball. For those of you who followed us this season in the football waiver wire show, you might have come to know that Ross's betting percentage of wins is really impressive. I don't quite get the savant factor of Ross, but he tends to always be right with his picks.
I have
and
a
his
magic
analysis
ball.
of games.
I have a ball that I use right here, and it shows me the future.
Ross,
Casey.
we don't need to talk about your balls.
And Casey, let me tell you something too. What team did I say beginning of the season? I'm talking football. What team did I say is
I know. I was about to bring that up. When we did our preview, Ross said the surprise team for everybody in the NFC is going to be the Arizona Cardinals. And here they are playing tonight, undefeated and going against, I think they're 6-0, right? And they're going against the 5-1 Green Bay Packers.
Green Bay is 6-1, right?
6-1 and 7-0. Is that what it is?
And they're 7-0, correct.
All right. So Ross, give me your breakdown of the game. What should people, if they have time to get bets in, what should their bets be?
So what did you ever find the spread out for? I didn't even look at the spread today.
I will look at it right now.
So
hold on.
I like this team. This game's going to go over. It's going to be a high scoring game. Arizona's defense, even though they're the number one defense in the NFL right now, doesn't matter. When Rodgers plays without Adams, they're 6-0. What does that tell you? That
that's pretty impressive.
He'll just make other receivers be the star. I mean, Randall Cobb's gonna be the starter night for Green Bay. The
line is Arizona -6.
So I'm going to take Green Bay, and I'm going to get 6 points because I think it's going to be a field goal game. I think it's going to be a very close game. And I think Arizona is a team that's going to be dodging being undefeated. they'll be dodging around, like not quite sure when they're going to lose, but they're going to lose. They're not going to run undefeated. But high scoring game. Rodgers a big game. Murray a big game. I think the star is going to be Randall Cobb for Green Bay, and see if I'm right.
Yeah, I like, especially with Green Bay missing their top 3 wide receivers.
Yeah,
you know,
and I think Aaron Jones will have a big game too, as for the running game for Green Bay is going to have to come through also.
Yeah, I think
I don't see this game being people say, oh, Arizona's going to blow them out without Devontae Adams. No, sir, no, they're not going to blow them out. It's going to be a close game. 6 points for a team that's won 6 in a row, and you're getting 6 points. And in Arizona, where it's a dome, the weather's not going to be a factor. It's going to be great.
Yeah. I also think AJ Dillon could have a big game, especially because Green Bay is going to need to pound the rock a lot. So he might get a lot more play.
Like AJ, I like James Conner. I think
Conner
who's middle. Touchdown every game. James Conner. I mean, every game he has a touchdown. And then Hopkins is questionable. I mean, he'll play. It's funny. You know what the NFL did this year? They took out the probable thing. So there's no more probable. It's either questionable or doubtful or out. So even a player is like probable, they put him down as questionable. So it's a little confusing, but I know Hopkins is playing, no worries. But again, you got Christian Kirk, you got Green, you got a lot of receivers that Murray likes to do. I love Zach Ertz too. I mean, there's a lot of selections in Arizona. There's a lot of different receivers that Murray likes to go to, but again, it's going to be fun to watch Rodgers because he's going to pick out his favorite receiver tonight to take Devontae Adams' place, and I'm curious to see who it is.
All right, last thing. You got 30 seconds to talk about it. Charlie Morton just pitched 16 pitches on a broken leg and managed to strike out Jose Altuve on his last pitch, pitching on a broken leg. What do you think of that?
He's 37 years old. So I never seen a pitcher break his leg throwing the baseball. I mean,
no, he didn't break it throwing the baseball. He was hitting the shin with 102 mile an hour
I didn't know
ball
that.
off the bat, and it fractured his shin.
I mean, it shows you like when you're playing in the World Series, your mind does not feel pain. I mean, this guy, I remember his last pitch, he struck the guy out. And then he just like walked off the mound and he just said, I can't pitch anymore.
Yeah, I can't put any weight on.
I feel bad. He's out until spring training. Hopefully he'll be back. He just signed a $20 million extension. So we're not doing a GoFundMe for Charlie Morton. But long story short, this guy is going to be missed. I mean,
he wins a toughness award for me.
I mean, that's going to start game 4 too. I mean, it's just a shame. I feel horrible for him and the Atlanta Braves. I think with Morton, they really, it made their team a lot harder to beat, but we'll see what happens. That series is going to go 7. It's going to be a great series.
All right. Well, Ross, as always, it was a pleasure learning some fantasy basketball from you. For you viewers out there, it was great talking to you. If you like what you saw, please like this video. Please subscribe to our channel. Ring the bell for notifications. Leave your comments below. We love interacting with you guys. You can teach us a few things. And we'll be glad to answer any questions you may have. Until next week, we'll have our NFL waiver wire show Monday night. Is that at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, I believe?
That sounds good. Yeah.
Or 8:45, 5:45, I think is what it is. And then again, next Thursday, come right back here, 4:45 Eastern, 1:45 Pacific for more NBA magic. Good night, everybody.
Hey everyone, Mustache Sauce here for Killcliff CBD. The best and tastiest way to get CBD into your body is with Killcliff CBD drinks. 125 milligrams of broad spectrum hemp extract yields 25 milligrams of CBD. And it's more than gummies, tinctures, or lotions. Life just got better with Killcliff CBD. And it makes that itch on my face go away. Real science, killer taste, own it. Go to killcliff.com.